welcome to the vlog. I'm in the studio today. No trip out, not much actually, really. It's been a bit of a miserable day if I'm going to be honest with you. The weather's been a bit rubbish, probably experienced some of it yourself. We have quite a few showers going through the country at the moment. So this is vlog number 19. What have I been up to? Well, one of the things that I sorted out, as you saw recently, was my artist name, Rick Hertz, which has now been put through. I've sorted out the website, so that's now live, rickhertz.com. I've sorted out some PRS things. That's the Performing Rights Society in this country. That's how we get paid our royalties for song plays and things like that on radio. I've just sorted out my distributor as well. Through recommendation, I've decided to go with Ditto. That seems to be the one that at the moment seems to be the best one that I've found. And I'm going to go with that. And then after that, see what comes up next. So as you can tell, I often seem to be at the moment talking a lot about the fact that I'm doing business stuff. And that is definitely the case. I've been doing a lot of looking into how I can make the business work. See, I can write the songs, I can do all that, the mixing side of things as well is something that I've been doing for quite a few years now. And I know that the next step is to get the business side of things running along nicely, so I'm going through a lot of looking into how to do things with Facebook. I'm doing a lot of research on the stuff that, if I'm honest, the business side of things I tend to find pretty boring. I'm not that excited about it. I like mixing, I like recording, I like making music, but the problem is all this is no good if I can't find a way to get it out there to people, if I can't get people to listen to it, if I can't find the best ways and the best methods. So it's a bit of a learning curve for me. I did a lot of this stuff before in a music technology degree, so I have the basics down, but what I don't have is the modern day way of doing things. Of course, I watch stuff and I look at how all the other people do it, but applying that myself is where I'm at. Well, I guess that's kind of where the next stage of the challenge lies, really. I've been doing bits and bobs every day, and I haven't quite worked out exactly everything yet. I mean, but that's part of one of the things that I set out to do. So I need to make sure that I can kind of keep the flow going, keep planning on doing stuff and trying to do the best I can with everything I'm learning, basically, and make sure that I keep my mind focused on everything I do. Basically, that's probably one of the most important things, is to keep focused, and I always try and keep focused. Owning a jacuzzi is really nice. It's just the damn bugs that get in the thing that are really annoying sometimes. I've had a few holes in this thing as well. But generally, if you ever pick up one of these lazy spa type of M-Spa type things, they're great, really good fun. Yeah, they can be a bit costly to run, but believe me, if you go and buy the proper thing, you're talking thousands of pounds before you begun. So yeah, I was just getting it turned on, getting it ready for a bit of a dip later on, but that's coming later. It's always good to give them a good stir as well, because the chlorine seems to settle down and then it stops working, and it gets incredibly cloudy if you're not careful. Owning a cat is nothing like owning a spa. Is it, Pickles? This one needs a little bit of attention every now and again, don't you? I think she's more of a morning cat. Wouldn't you say? Yeah, that's probably what it is. So a really cool thing that I have managed to get my hands on recently from a friend, which I'm going to restore up, is this realistic, it's called a realistic synthesizer by Moog. This is a classic piece of gear, but this thing was made in 1980. So I have to basically clean it all down. I've already removed a load of black crap off of the circuit board, as you can see here. This stuff here is basically a sticky residue that was left over from probably, well, it's 40 years old foam, basically. But this is the module. This is the keyboard and everything else inside. As you can see, I've got my work cut out here. But this thing is basically the precursor to what would become, or part of what will become a Moog, the Moog sound. It certainly, from what I have heard of it, definitely has a bit of that in there, but I need to get some cleaning fluids and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend the next week cleaning this baby out, and then getting this integrated with the studio. It'll give me a nice little extra added bonus for what I'm working on. Have you noticed I'm back downstairs in the studio? You're correct. Albeit with a new desk. So, why am I back down here? You might be wondering. I moved upstairs, I tried it. It was not good. The sound down here is just so much better. Literally, I was able to do I think I showed you on one of the videos I used Sound ID's SonarWorks, the reference software which fixes your room. The difference between using it downstairs and upstairs was really big on the low end. The low end upstairs was as wobbly as I'd ever seen it before. Down here, absolutely great. There is a dip around 100 Hertz, which SonarWorks has fixed. But apart from that, generally it's pretty good. Okay, so let's take a look at the Neutron. I'm going to look at it from the perspective of keeping it really simple so that it makes it fairly obvious as to what everything's doing. It looks more complicated than it really is. Effectively, if you think about it, it only has two sound generators, which are these here. Oscillator 1 and oscillator 2. Both of them generate a tone from a chip, basically, that's inside there. At the moment, I've set it all the way to the left. Now you'll hear a bit of distortion and stuff on here. That's because of the way that the device flows through the overdrive circuit, which you can bypass, but it's kind of always going through it. So at the moment, it is literally just going through. This one here. The oscillator mix here, so I can choose between the two, or I can mix the two together. And I'm just, at the moment, just choosing this one here. It's basically set to a sine wave. But if I change this up, you can hear it changes the sound. Really, that's all you kind of need to know. So, this down here is the oscillator width. Again, rather than me saying what it does, it's best just to accept that it does various tone changes to the sound. This, as you could just tell, was the tuning. Which is quite good fun. Generally, though, you want to try and tune it to something that you're going to use, like your song key, for example. But you might want to detune it, especially if you're going for the classic sounds. This here is an oscillator sync, so that the two oscillators stay in tune with each other. So even though they've got two tuning knobs, you probably don't want them to be out of tune unless you're going for it. So let's have a look. Mix it into the middle. So now they're pretty much in tune, but if you just detune them slightly, let's change the tone a bit. And you can see instantly you create all these sorts of, and that's just using this section. So we are just literally playing with the two dudes creating the sound, if you like. Okay, we'll move quickly over to this section here. So this here is where basically from this point onwards you start cutting away the sound. So this is why we refer to this as subtractive synthesis. Okay, so if you ever hear that terminology, it's because basically you're taking stuff away. All right, I'm not going to go too much into this here. This is a delay effect. Okay. Okay, I'm just pressing one key at a time. You can hear it repeats. Okay, we'll turn that off. Okay, and this is the overdrive. And think of these as just like if you're a guitar player, you know what delay is. Echo, 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 echo. And if you know what distortion is, you know, when you play a guitar really heavy, it distorts. Well, that's what this does. If I play your note, turn this down and distort it. So you can hear it kind of crunches the sound up. Okay, great fun, good stuff. We'll look at these other things at some other point in the future, attenuators and all. We can basically jack in through the patch bay over to this side, and these things, and use those more. So, but I'm not going to touch any of this. I just thought I'd cover the basics just to show you how easy it is to get into this sort of thing. So here we have frequency, okay, resonance, and mod depth. We'll look at the frequency first because that's the easiest one for me to show you. So what this is set to here, ooh, I've wobbled the tuning. There's one of the problems with the Neutron. It's very sensitive to these knobs. Basically, here you have three different types. You see this one here? Basically, it's set currently to, when you turn this, all the top end, all the treble goes, leaving only the lower end. So you get more bass. This one in the middle here, up just above it, picks a specific frequency in the EQ range and flies around it. And the one at the top is a high, what we call a high pass. So this is a low pass at the bottom and this is a high pass at the top. This just cuts all the bass out. There you go. Typically I like to use this one the most, and we'll show you why. Very typical sort of effect this is. If you go down to here, the mod depth, this then tells it, currently it's routed through what's called the LFO. And we'll stop at this point, so if your mind is already like screwed, this should basically help you to understand what this last bit does. This here, I'm holding a note down, you see the light up. Okay, it's easier to understand what this does if I turn the rate up. Oh wow, what's that? So this is an LFO, low frequency oscillator, basically governed by what you set these up to, and how you set this governs how the sound is. So I just thought I just wanted to jump in on this section just to sort of clarify a little bit, because I was having too much fun playing with this thing that I didn't actually sort of explain really as well as I wanted to quite how this thing works. So the LFO is governed by what you set this to. And if you look here, you've got the low pass, which is set, and then this twists up and down, and it opens upwards, and it allows more or less of the high end through. What you're basically doing is you're setting these, and you're setting the mod depth to go and allow the LFO to affect it. Is if you'd like, you imagine that this is going what, like that on the sound, which is basically what's happening. You're just kind of automating it with this here, with the LFO. This can be seen a lot better if you look at something like Serum. So, I haven't got Serum opened up just yet, but I will explain this in more depth in the future. Serum is great for seeing this visually. Serum is a plugin, but you can actually see the cutoff going what like that and doing the sound effect. LFOs are great. They're wicked, good fun. When I'm explaining this stuff and I'm playing with it, I'm just like entranced by the sounds coming out of the thing. So forgive me if my explanations are not that clear yet. I'm getting better at trying to sort of talk about these things and how they work. So I'll let myself crack on anyway with where I was going with. If you switch it over to here, it's a square wave, on, off, on, off, on, off. If you switch it to here, it sweeps in with more of a triangular shape. Each one basically brings the attack and decay in different ways. This one is more of a sine wave shape. So it's not instant, it sweeps in and out, in and out. Now if you do this one, you get the classic sort of sound that a lot of times you hear on electronic music. Distort it and so there you go. Hopefully to those of you who are into this sort of thing, you've got a bit of an oversight there as to how the Neutron works. To those of you who aren't, maybe I gave you a little bit of a sort of show there as to what you can achieve with the synthesis side of things. I've been doing this for a little while and I kind of knew some of these things, but for me the Neutron has been my first foray in really experimenting with using a synthesizer, an analog one. One of the things I like is, and you can do this in the software, you can detune it as well, but there's something very analog about the tuning that you don't get in the software, I've found. The software tends to have less of an analog feel in a weird way. Whether or not you can tell, this really doesn't really matter because most people aren't going to know or care. What I like about the Neutron and having it there is the fact that it's just got knobs, basically. It's just full of knobs. You can tweak them, play with them, move them. Very tactile experience when you've got something like that under your hands. It's probably the same way that you could say some people would say when they're mixing or having a real keyboard or trying to do everything with a mouse or a trackpad or whatever it's not that fun. I actually prefer to have these things under my hands as well. All the time, no, but now and again it is nice. And one of the things I like, and like I say, I might get a few more of these guys, but one of the things I want to do is to basically just have something like this here, just in order to add different stuff. The track you hear in the outro in a minute, there are bits and pieces in there which are using analog synthesis and some which are using digital synthesis. You probably can't tell the difference, but I do love the fact that I can just go and bend the tuning a little bit and just give it something a little bit extra. So yeah, it's quite cool. This draws into conclusion this vlog for this week. It has been a little shorter. I've been so busy with business stuff recently and other things. It's not something that I want to stop doing, these vlogs. I absolutely love doing them. And I'm still looking at ways that I can do them during the week. The problem I've got is that because I have a full-time job, I don't necessarily have as much that I can do during the week. So I'm thinking how I can sort of integrate them more halfway through the week, for example. My ultimate aim, obviously, is to be doing music a lot more, and I'm trying to find ways to improve the amount I'm doing and the time I'm working on everything. So if anyone's got any suggestions, if anyone wants to have a chat about anything or discuss things a bit more in depth, please leave me comments below. I'm more than up for hearing suggestions that people have got. I'm looking at so many different things at the moment that my head's a bit clouded in all the different things that I'm trying to focus on. But I try to just do things one step at a time. getting the name sorted out, getting my Performance Rights Society membership sorted out, getting my distributor sorted out, so that from now on, as I'm promoting my music, it's going through the correct channels and going on to basically going the right way in order for me to make some money out of all this. To do this full time costs money, and to do it as much as I'm doing it is already cost me money to set up the kit I've got at the moment. But I want to do more and more of it, and I don't know if you can hear, but I have a very melodic kind of way of songwriting, and I love creating music, and I've always felt that I'm able to do a good catchy tune, and I want to take that to the next level all the time. So stuff is flowing, stuff is coming, stuff is ready to go on different levels. It's all going to come together. It'll probably start all flowing as the year goes on. So please keep watching these vlogs, keep supporting me, and keep watching to see what happens next. And hopefully soon there'll be more ways to hear what I'm actually working on. So thanks very much for watching so far, everyone, and I hope that you get to see more stuff come out fairly soon. Catch you later.